Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Iro here, and I've got a very special video for you today. I'm going to be talking about Season 5 perk changes mainly, and a few updates that I think are going to really make the game more fun and essentially a little bit more competitive. Because, we've been playing Warzone for 2 years now, and the perks that you go and you select for every one of your classes are going to be the same rotation of perks. Everyone's going to be using EOD, maybe double time. Obviously, we've got guys using Overkill and Ghost all the time. And for me, perk 3, I think it's silly not to go amped. Maybe you'd go tracker or something like that. But I don't know. I just feel like I've got a list here of just changes that I think should be made to the perks that are going to really spice it up. And you're going to see people maybe using different perks if they were to make these adjustments. But first, on the chopping block, I think they need to make some changes to Scavenger. Currently, Scavenger just gives you a little extra ammo off of the enemies you kill. Let's say they have 0 ammo, you'll pick up a little bit of ammo from them, right? And if you don't have your lethal in, it's going to give you a throwing knife, which is like, okay, yeah, that's really good for finishing people, but at the end of the day, you're not going to see someone picking this over double time or let's say EOD. It's just not that competitive. It doesn't give you an edge over the enemy if you pick this perk. So I think one of the changes that you can make to Scavenger to make it a little more competitive is having it increase your max ammo count. So right now, let's say your AR ammo, you've got 210 of those, right? Let's bump that up to 300, and I think that that'll give you like a mag and a half essentially, because everyone's running like 50, 60 round mags. I think that would make it a lot more competitive and a better choice over maybe choosing something like EOD or double time in certain situations, right? Depending on what your play style is. So note, guys, I'm going to throw these on screen as I'm talking about them, and I'm also going to throw an entire list down in the description just so you can see everything in one view. But the next perk I want to talk about is another perk one, Quick Fix. So right now, Quick Fix, let's say you have 50% HP, and I'm not saying plates, right? So you have no plates. I'm just talking about purely your player health. Let's say you have 50% of that. Let's say you kill an enemy full, right? So your kill count goes from, let's say, 0 to 1. You're going to have that amount of health regen that you were down in a much quicker time. But again, that's not really competitive. So the suggested change that I would make to that would be to increase your health and movement speed while you're down. Because, if you noticed, a lot of the pros, once they down someone, they'll shoot him, an extra 2 or 3 times, right? Just to lower their health while they're down. So they're going to bleed out faster. And that's going to put extra pressure on their teammates to res you, right? So you're going to be like, hey, he shot me a few times. I'm already down. I'm going to die in, 10 seconds. At least with this, maybe if they shoot you those few times, you're going to die in 20 seconds. So it's going to give your teammates a little extra time to work the battlefield and maybe get to you to res you, right? And along with the whole movement speed buff while you're down, right? Now you can get into cover faster while you're down. You can move position. Maybe you can get in a better position while you're down to ping that extra guy, right? That's going to win your team the fight. So I think this would be a really good buff to Quick Fix. I think it's going to really change how you play while you're down, and you're not just going to sit there and screaming at your teammates to, come res me, come res me. You have that little extra time to get resed. So right now I'm going to be moving over into the perk 2 changes that I would make. So right now, I think the 2 perks that you're going to pick from this category are going to be Overkill and Ghost, right? So your first loadout, you're going to get Overkill, you're going to get maybe your AR and your SMG, or you're going to get your sniper support and a sniper rifle. And then your second loadout is when you're going to go ahead and grab Ghost, right? So, you don't want to show up on UAV, you don't want to show up on heartbeat sensor, which heartbeat sensor at this point, everyone should be using. It just gives you such a large advantage over the enemy players if they do not have Ghost. So the perk that I would be changing here, I think, would be Point Man, which the only change I would make would just be, enemies drop 10% more cash, right? So per kill, they're going to drop you a little bit more money than before. And I think that'll be a good mix, because some people, are using restock at times, or they're using high alert. I just think this would just be another perk that you could add into the mix, get a little more cash for your team per kill that you get. Now moving into perk 3 here, I think one perk they could change in this category is Tuneup. Right now, Tuneup allows you to revive your teammates 25% faster. So, you're going to cut down the time. They're going to revive somebody, and you're going to be able to get them and yourself back into the fight faster. But once again, it's just not something you see many people choosing over, amped, or maybe let's say tracker, or I mean battle hardened even, maybe, right? But right now, I think if you were to take Tuneup and change it a little bit or add to it, you can repair vehicles by 25% of their max health, right? So let's say your helicopter, let's say you got a guy with Tuneup, he can repair the vehicle only a quarter of its total health, right? This is somewhat similar to, I guess what you'd say, like the engineer class or something like that in Battlefield, where you can repair vehicles a little bit. But I think it definitely needs to be maxed out by 25%, because I don't want to see a guy driving around in a Bertha the entire match, because he can sit there and just repair the Bertha limitlessly, right? So that's why I think you need that 25% cap on it, and so you're only going to be getting 1.25 times your vehicle health once you actually go ahead and do, like, a little repair animation or something of that sort, right? So now I'm going to go ahead and talk about Shrapnel. Right now, Shrapnel, it's just going to allow you to have 2 lethal. So let's say you start off with 1 Semtex normally, you're going to have 2 this time. And the explosive damage from your Semtex is going to delay enemy health regeneration by 3 seconds, right? And this isn't just for the Semtex, it's for all explosives, right? But once again, no one's really picking this over amped or the other perk 3 options that you're normally going to choose. So I think maybe to add to Shrapnel, you could have explosives, they can blur enemy vision slightly, maybe for like 1 second or 2, right? So something of that sort, I think that added maybe a little more realism aspect to the game. And 2, I think you should be able to retrieve your lethals from enemy players that you've killed, right? So let's say I fully kill a guy and I have no more Semtexes, no more C4 or whatever. I walk over his body and I get at least 1 lethal back from that, right? So now I'm restocked on my Semtex, or on my C4 or Molly, or like whatever you're using. And the last perk we're gonna go ahead and go over is Spotter. Right now, Spotter is probably the least used perk in perk 3, I would say. I don't really see many people using this, but Spotter just allows you to see, enemy equipment. So let's say they've got a claymore up or a C4 thrown down or a proximity mine. You can see them through walls, and then you can hack that, right? So this is really only applicable, let's say, if someone's camping and I hack their bouncing Betty, and they go ahead and they run across it and it blows up and it cracks their armor, and then I can go up and fight them. But that is a very niche situation, and it's just not going to happen all the time. It's not something that it's gonna occur in game quite often. And so I think maybe to the Spotter perk, you could add a ping mechanic to this, right? So let's say you ping somebody, let's say the ping lasts a little bit longer than our average ping now, right? And that ping, let's say after you ping them, it can momentarily reveal a non-ghosted enemy player on their team within a certain radius, and I just said 8 meters here. And so maybe this sounds a bit confusing, but essentially you'll ping somebody, the ping is going to last a little bit longer. Once that ping ends, it may do like a little pulse, and it'll show 1 non-ghosted enemy player within 8 meters of them that is on their team. And I think something like this would be pretty competitive. It's almost like a miniature UAV. And so with that said, a miniature UAV, you're going to need some cooldown on it. I don't think this is something you should be able to spam. And so I just throw a 45-second cooldown time on it. I don't know if that's really going to be the right cooldown time to add. Obviously, this is something that would need to be, put through testing. But just as a general note, I think this is something that'd be very cool to add. Now, that's it for me, guys. I think these perk changes would really, add a little fuel to the fire for this game and really revive it a little bit. I mean, everyone's been using the same perks for the longest time. I can literally go look at my loadout, my buddy's loadout, and his buddy's loadout, and be like, oh, wow, we're all using the same perks, we're all using the same lethal, we're all using the same equipment. It's just not very diverse when it comes to those things. Right now, we've got weapon tuning, which has been a big thing for the game, but now I really think we need to change our focus to the perks, because I feel like the perks, are kind of underlying how we play. Am I going to have 2 weapons if I'm using overkill? Do I need to worry about that UAV if I'm not using Ghost this time? So I mean, I think it really adds a lot of things that players can think about. And I think it adds a lot of diversity to how we're going to see loadouts built and to how we're going to see, team compositions made. But again, that's it for me, guys. Have a good one.